Morning, guys. Just trotted out away from the trailer. I'm gonna gather a bunch of heifers today. They're scattered all over this desert. If you remember, a couple months ago we trailed some heifers out from the ranch. It took 2 days when I rode through that big snowstorm, or a little snowstorm, I guess. Cold snowstorm. Anyways, it's the same heifers, same place. We're gonna end up clear up on top there before too long and probably go up and down the mountain a whole bunch. So anyways, we're just gonna hit a trot and try and cover some country here where it's still cool. We'll catch up with you guys in a bit. Yeah, we're still climbing the mountain here. There's some track up this canyon. There's not any water up here, but there's some good feed usually. In this particular pasture, the way it works is the water is in the bottom of the canyons and in dirt tanks. So everything this time of year climbs up high to eat during the night and early mornings, and then as the day goes on, they head down towards the water. It would make pretty good sense just to have one guy come out in the late afternoon and gather the water for like probably 2 or 3 consecutive days. You could probably get them all with one guy, but you'd be getting home after dark and all that, and we don't really have the time right now to do that, so we're gonna try and take 3 guys and get them all today. It's kind of more riding, and it's kind of, I don't want to say the hard way to do it, but it's probably not the easy way to do it, but it is what it is. So just take a day and do it. This particular pasture, for whatever reason, in the years that I rode here, when I was full-time here, it can get western out here for no apparent reason, and weird things happen on this pasture. I don't know if there's a juju or a voodoo or a stigma or whatever you want to call it, but it's just interesting sometimes out here when it really shouldn't be. So maybe today it'll end up that way, maybe it won't. Pretty country though. I really enjoy it up here. Okay, there's some grazing right up here, so we're gonna crawl out of this canyon to hit this ridge line. And Armand is we'll kind of make a little gather on him, and I'm gonna send him down the canyon with him to get him started towards the bottom there, and I'm gonna stay high and go after some more. Smoky a little bit today. California's burning up again. You know, if they'd do some more logging and some more grazing, it wouldn't burn near as much, but that's too much common sense right there for California. So, kind of a rocky pasture, a lot of it. You dang sure want to make sure you got either a hard-footed horse or a good set of shoes on them. A lot of people ask me why I shoe Luke, being a Mustang, and the reason is that by time him and I came to be partners, he already had soft feet from living inside, so he never had the chance to be one that you could ride without shoes. But he's really well behaved to shoe, and he's got good feet that take a shoe pretty easy, so I don't mind keeping a set on him. Feels good to be back in the desert. I enjoy being over on the coast with Cole. It's always a fun trip, but I like the desert more. I enjoy it. Kind of a sad fact of my life, but last year was the first year in 10 years that I didn't kill one rattlesnake all year. So I leave the gopher snakes alone. I don't mind them, but the rattlesnakes can do a lot of damage to a dog or something if they get bit, so I try and dispatch them when I come to them. Anyways, when we get up to the top here, guys, and have a look around, if we see something interesting, I'll make sure and include you. Okay, well, we looked off to that side over there. There was nothing. I didn't think there would be. We're gonna get off this little ledge we're on, and Armana's gonna go after, right down here, after those heifers that we saw when we climbed out of that canyon, and I'm gonna go up around that way, go real high, and there's a little spot on the other side of that ridge line that they like to hang out on some feed. I'm gonna check that and then kind of meander over towards some other country. So kind of trying to keep our horses as fresh as possible. This pasture can wear a horse out real quick, so you want to try and conserve them any chance you get. So anyways, that's that. Okay, so Amon should be in this canyon below me here somewhere. Them heifers. He's gonna get them started heading down towards water, and I'm gonna, like I said, go check some more country up here. So my wife just called me, and she says everything always happens when you leave to go day working. And I says, well, what happened? She says it's about 10:30 at night. She was asleep, and she heard this weird kind of hissing noise that woke her up. She thought it was a dog snoring in the doorway to the bedroom, so she got up and looked, and the dog wasn't there, and she could still hear the noise. She jumped back on the bed and shined her phone light around, and there's about a 2.5 foot, maybe a 3 foot bull snake coiled up right there by the box fan that was in the doorway. So she goes and gets a trash can and sets it down, and one way or another gets the snake flipped into the trash can, takes him outside to the other side of the feedlot, and dumps him out. So her and my mother were kind of worked up about it, and I can't say that I blame them, but it was quite the excitement for them. And of course, most ranch wives will tell you that stuff like that don't happen when the husband's around. It always happens when the husband's gone. So there's Amon. You can see him right there. Imagine he's got them heifers on the move already. So anyways, I'm gonna side hill around here until there's till I see some more cattle to start. So it's pretty up here. Seen a few Mormon crickets, just a few, not out in the numbers like they can be. Luke, let's go down this way. But there's a little bit more of a trail. Don't mind the occasional Mormon cricket or two. They're not a problem, but when they get to swarming by the millions, they get kind of annoying. So, anyways. So, Armand's supposed to be riding across over there and getting down into that canyon. I'm still trying to make my way up here to check the high end of it. I got heifers down below me here, but considering that's where he's supposed to be going, I don't want to spend the horse to get down there and start him. I'm going to try and hoop and holler at him here a while and see if I can convince him to start heading towards water. It's awfully early in the day to be able to do that. But if it works, excellent. And if it doesn't, like I said, Armand should be riding across there before too long. So, anyways, you guys don't need to listen to me hoop and holler. Sound will carry a long ways right now because it's cool out. There's no wind. Really no noise out here other than the noise I make. So it might work, it might not. With any luck, they'll start and they'll go the right direction. The green down there is where we got to end up, but we got a whole bunch of country out this way to cover yet. The rocky ledge you guys can see over there now, that's where we were standing at the edge of that ledge a little bit ago. So I'm gonna hoop and holler, and if they start, I'll let you know, and if they don't, I'll see you at the next spot. Well, that worked about like I thought. They picked their heads up and looked around, but it's their first year out here. They're heifers, so they don't really know what I'm asking, but Armand will be there, so he'll get them. Anyways, I'm gonna keep making tracks, guys. I'll see you in a little bit. Come on, Mustang, let's go up and around this rock pile. If we had to, we could cross this, but we don't have to, so we'll just go around it. So. There's some Mormon crickets for you guys. Some bouncing all over. They don't bite or sting or anything like that. They just eat everything. This is not a large number of them. They get, when the hatches are right, they get infested in an area just, I mean, by the millions. I've heard of just, they'll move, the swarm will move across a piece of country, and I mean, they'll eat everything. The grasses, the brush. I've heard of them eating paint off of houses. I mean, they swarm big time. But they hop, they're flightless, and they don't bite or sting, so they're just a nuisance. They'll be so thick when they cross a highway that the highway will get slick like ice just from the guts of them as they get run over, and they're cannibalistic, so they get run over and more smell that, and they come to them to eat that. It just compounds the problem. They're not every year, so they're kind of hit and miss when and where and all that, but they're not very good fishing bait either. I tried to take them, put them on a hook and see if I could get some fish to bite on them one time when I was a kid, and I think the fish were scared of them. They're pretty alien looking things. Made some money when I was a kid catching them and putting them in a jar, putting rubbing alcohol in there, killing them that way, and then pouring that out and putting more rubbing alcohol in there so it's clear and it preserves them, selling them by the jar just as a novelty. So, kind of crazy. People pay for them. Alright, well, I'm at the first spot. I wanted to poke my head over and see if there's cattle below me. I like grazing on these big faces, and there is down there, so I'm gonna just head down this face kind of easy down that way. The cattle are down there a ways. Get there and just knock them off that hill there. Down onto that water. They should, hopefully they're flighty enough they'll see me a ways off and take off away from me. But we'll find out once they take off. If they're traveling good, I'll just leave them. They'll keep going down to that water, and I'll make that move several times along this big side of this canyon and get to the top end of it along the fence up there, and then ride down the canyon and collect everything that's hanging out on the water. At least that's how it's supposed to work anyways. So give Luke his head in these rocks and he picks his way through them. Pretty easy going when you're not in a hurry. So I'll kind of point him towards what I see is the easiest path, and then just let him pick out where he wants to put his feet. Not hurry him across them if I don't have to. Where I was hollering at those cattle was the other side of this draw, down a ways. There's no sense in going down that draw, because that's right where I'm on supposed to ride. So I'm gonna go up here because it might take him a while to get there and back and all that. So I'll just bump these down, head up again. Okay, so some of our cattle are right down there. That's a bunch to come after, but I got a couple more that are a little bit higher here. So I'm going to come across and bump those down and kind of circle back a little bit to bump those down. Try and get as much cattle moved every time I drop down as possible. That way I don't have to ride up the hill for every single bunch of cattle that I start. Like I said, in this particular part of the desert, one of the big secrets is conserving your horse. You can wear one out just as fast as you want, so always try and take it easy on them. And I can side hill across here, start those, and then side hill from where they are. Not have to climb the hill a bunch. Okay, girls, head down the hill. Hey! Hey! You're supposed to go away, girls. Hey! 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 Hep! Let me see, Luke. I know there's a bunch over there. We might not get those. We might let Armand get those. They're close enough at the end of the day. If they're still up there, we can come back up to them. This early in the day, I'm mostly worried about getting cattle that are real high down lower, because they will head down to that water on their own later in the day. Hut! Hut! Got some here. Probably have some back up here behind me too a little bit. But just, if I can just get them bumped off this kind of little plateau spot, level spot, whatever you want to call it, shallow spot, face, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. If I get them bumped off of it, they should go. Pay attention, Mustang. Hey, girls. Hey. Go on, girls. Those cattle coming. Good. Come on, girls. Head down the water. Hey. 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 Where's your trail down, girls? Go find it. Hey. Huh. 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 There's water in the bottom right there. So I'm gonna watch these just a minute. So kind of when they line out like that and put their heads down and just start walking real easy, that's as good as you want. They're not running off being dumb. They're following their routine, even though it's probably a couple hours early. So they're gonna go down there, water up, and sit there. Odds are they won't try and crawl back up the hill to eat. Opportune time for a bathroom break, huh, Luke? I want to step up where we can see and make sure they're traveling still. Okay, if they're gonna go that way, that's fine too. It all comes down the same way. I'm gonna leave these alone now. So, I'm not gonna worry about those. I'm gonna peek over here and see what's up over here. I have a feeling Armand will get those. Kind of what I told him is that I was gonna work the far side of the pasture and he was gonna work the close side right here. So if he rats around here all day, he'll get him started. He'll see him. Anyways, got one bunch started. Let's go find us another bunch to start. So I'm getting into right below some of the country I wanted to ride when I was up on top still. And I didn't see any sign coming up from that side. This draw here is one of the ways that they get up there. It's one of 3 major ways. So I'm gonna just look for track for it real good, and if there's no track, I'm gonna just keep side hilling around and check the other way. And if there's no track that other way, I know there's no cattle up there because there's no water. So anything that's up there is having to come down every day to water, and that'll tell me all I need to know. I really don't see anything fresh. I'm gonna walk up it a little bit. Well, the sign I'm seeing so far is old. It might be that the cattle are all lower, and that would be just fine. That would shorten the circle up a bunch. Yeah, I don't see any sign to tell me I need to go up there, so I'm gonna just kind of try and rim around and get over to the next draw, which is the other way they go up to that high country. So when I get over there and check it, I'll see you guys. This is the other spot. They'll come up that draw and hit this fence line, this perimeter fence, to get up to that high country where I was going to ride. There's no track here either, which is good. That tells me I don't need to ride up there. This little spot right here against the fence, I have found cattle here pretty often in the past, so I don't even need to ride down that draw and look for anything. I'm gonna just skirt up this fence line over top because that's the far corner on the other side of this. Look down at it. Then I'm just gonna start working the low hills, catching all those cattle that we passed on the way up here. Start bumping them down to water as I go. Get them all bumped down, ride back and grab everything. day by then, I imagine. So. But anyways, that's where we're at. Nice calm morning so far, but it's not going to stay that way for long. Okay, I got a couple heifers right here. And I don't know if the camera can see them or not, but there's a whole boatload of feral horses right there. So. Okay, well, I got a couple heifers right here in front of me. Pasture goes around that way some more, but I'm gonna bump these down. I don't know if the camera can see it, but you can see stringing out up there is about 30 head of wild horses. Feral horses. They ain't wild, they're just feral. Oh, I got some heifers right here that I couldn't see were right below me. Pays to stop and take a look around every once in a while. So I'm gonna bump these down. These girls are kind of heads up. Hopefully they'll want to take off pretty easy and I won't have to joust them too much. I'll see you guys when we get over there. Okay, these should all be heifers, but there's a couple cows that come across. There is every year. There's some of the, usually it's the older cows that were here as heifers. They like this part of the country, so they know how to get through a fence to get here. So see, we got one calf. That explains that. But I'm gonna see how bad these girls want to go this way, and if they kind of don't want to go that way too bad, I'm gonna try and put them with the other heifers that we were looking at a second ago. That old cow leading right there, she's just gonna go. She knows the drill. She's gonna take off at a trot. I'd like to tell you guys something real romantic, like I remember that cow and this and that, but she's just a cow. She knows where she's going. She probably comes over here every summer. So they're gonna, looks like she's wanting to head straight down, which is good. There is a reservoir straight down right there. A dirt tank, some of you call them. I think in the southern part of the US, Texas and all that, they call them, Arizona, they call them drinkers. But we just call them reservoirs or dirt tanks, or you know, whatever. So they've got names on the BLM maps, but I forget what they are. The Cowboys' names for things a lot of times will reflect that of the BLM map. Sometimes they won't. Sometimes Cowboys got their own names for them. Like we have a spring on one allotment, and I don't remember what the name of the spring is, but we call it Dishes Spring, after a real good dog that got hurt working some cattle right there of a friend of mine. And Dish got to that spring and laid down in the cool water a while and drank a little bit. He ended up dying right there. So kind of in his honor, we call it Dish's Spring, even though that's not the real name of it. But with the group of guys that know it is that, you can say, yeah, I saw 5 or 10 head or whatever at Dish's Spring, and we know exactly where they're talking about. So anyways, these girls are gonna do just right. Old cow's gonna lead them off there. She's teaching these heifers how to be cows, which is real nice. I appreciate that of her. See some chucker right there. Another one. Okay, so these girls are a ways ahead of me. They kind of hit a trot there for a minute and they dropped straight off this, which is just exactly what I need them to do. So we're Pat is riding is across the canyon on the other side of the hills there, and I'm gonna guess he's either gonna come down the big Mustang trail you see there or down that draw there. I haven't seen him yet. I see the reservoir down there, one of them I was talking about, and I don't see any cattle at it, which means everybody is still out grazing, which is what we expected this early in the day. But like I said, we're just going to start them down it and bump them down it and make the gather once they get down there. So that is the plan. So far so good. I'm on about almost on the furthest side of my circle, and then working back towards where we're ending for the day. I will have to be a lot more thorough and grab everything, which, like I said, Armand should be doing that thing. He should have about half the circle I do today. Not to say he's going to have to do half of the riding, because he has some big canyons, steep canyons over there, and this side here is, well, maybe not as steep as what he's riding over there. So he should have that pretty well gathered by the day's end, you know, when we get down there with what we get put together over here. That draw you can see up there, several years ago I was just out checking cattle. I didn't have a pack horse with me. I had Luke when he was still an outlaw, and I was riding up it, and all of a sudden, from in front of me a little bit, I heard a whole bunch of snarling and growling and hissing and puffing and all sorts of just horrible sounding noises. I come across a badger den with 3 adolescent badgers in it, and they were not happy to see me. I don't particularly care for badgers. If you got a dog that's dumb enough to try and tangle with one, the dog usually gets pretty tore up in the process, because badgers are tougher than hell. But the problem I have with badgers is they dig big holes that it'll cripple a horse in a heartbeat. So I was pretty happy to get rid of 3 badgers that day. Not that I necessarily like killing just to kill, but I don't like things that cripple horses. They are a nuisance in my eyes, just akin to rattlesnakes or magpies picking young calves' eyeballs out or things like that. So unfortunate for them, but it's sad too, because them little adolescent badgers, man, they were cute. They were mean and ornery, but they were cute. So anyways, got a couple head right over on the other side of this little tiny rock ridge right here. Rock ridge, rock ridge. Where are they at, Luke? There they are. We rode below them. That's okay. I'm glad to see this part of the country. There's another reservoir right up there. Doesn't look like there's water in it, but there might be a little bit right in the bottom. But judging by the fact there's no cattle laying in that bald spot, I'm gonna say it might be dry. That reservoir usually holds pretty good water. Excuse me, you need to go down the hill. Go hang out by the water, please, at the beach. Get you a margarita with, you know, an umbrella, lawn chair, some of the little food with the toothpicks in it, something like that. Any interest in that? Or do we have to do this the hard way? Okay, well, I got one laying down up here. I'm gonna get around her. Oh, we got a bunch laying down right here. Hi, girls. You think you're sleeping, huh? Hup! Come on, girls, nap time's over. Get going. Quit being lazy. You see them, right, Luke? You're not going to spook when they get up? You see those, right? Yeah, okay, good. Girls, you're not hiding. Excuse me. Hey. Go on, girls. Hop down the hill. Hop. 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 Come on, girls, wake up. Hop. 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 Mormon crickets like the cow pies. They will eat anything. Come on, girls, down the hill. Hop. Sorry, I got nothing else up there. Come on, girls, make a bunch and head down. Hop. 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 Hut! Hut! Shh! There you go, girls. Now, if I can let them think they're getting away from me heading downhill, that's the best. Because if they think they're getting away from you, they'll travel good. Or if they think you got them, they won't travel as well. Huh. You need to turn head downhill though. Follow everybody else. Not hard. There you go. Yep, put your tail in the air and trot off. The correct way, please. That bunch will line out like that and hit a trot. Kind of just let them go. Like I was saying earlier, they are creatures of habit. If I start them, they'll go. It's the beauty of cattle on the desert. I'm gonna take them just as far as I need to be confident that they'll go. Lining out like that is just right. That's, if they'll fall off that steep part, we got them licked. Hup. Hup. I see I got a cowboy on the other side of the draw there. I'm gonna assume that's Pat because that is a long way from where Armand's supposed to be. And there was some cattle right there. He was probably bumping them down. Huh. We were would gather in a different part of this desert one time, and it was, oh, the gather was a little bit later that year because the desert did really well. But maybe the beginning of October, nice and cool out. We started at daylight. I was a big alluvial fan, and them cattle that day wanted to go, and I just rode above everything and hooped and hollered, and I had probably 300 head started and never got within 200 yards of any of them, all going the right way. Just, I mean, the hillside was just a crawling with them going the right way. It was so cool. That was a neat deal. So that cowboy on the far side of the canyon there, he's riding away from me now, but I see he's got some cattle trailing down to water, and I don't know if the camera can see it, but at the reservoir now there's a couple cows, which is probably from the bunch we started earlier. So that's how this works right now. We start them, and this bunch is gonna go, and I'm gonna go back up this way and look for some more. There's one more draw up that way that I need to ride, and then I can come back and just keep working the hillsides down, and we get the hillsides clean. We'll ride back up here to this water and go right down the canyon. That'll take us right to where we need to be for the end of the day. So you're gonna cross this, what, once, twice, probably 3 times, 4 times by the end of it, which that's why I was saying that you need to preserve horse in the morning instead of riding him like a motorcycle for 2 hours and then him being exhausted the rest of the day. What do you see? Oh, he sees the feral horses trotting up the hill up there, and I see Armando right there. I am gonna ride up to him and have him start everything down here while I go that way. So anyways, I'm gonna go talk to him, and then I'll catch up with you guys probably over in that canyon where I was saying I need to ride yet. So things are shaping up. So just one thought, because he don't have a phone, and in a lot of deserts phones don't work, but if you see another cowboy and he's riding straight to you, it usually means that he needs to talk to you. So I don't know if Armand has seen me yet or not. But I've got a dog, 2 dogs with him. That might actually be Pat. I don't know. Either way. But yeah, that's how we know we want to talk to each other. We just ride straight towards him. So this is interesting. We had a cowboy there, and there was a cowboy over there. Not in enough time to get across here. So I don't know where the 4th cowboy came from. I didn't hear anything about a 4th cowboy, but that's Armand. I could tell by the sound of his voice. So that must mean it's Pat up there with the dogs. So I don't know who I saw over there and who started those cattle. So that's interesting. Maybe we just saw a ghost start some cattle. But anyways, they're gathering those cattle down right now. So I need to get across here and get that other canyon road checked out pretty quick. That way I can be in the bottom and start those cattle down if those guys are above me. So I'll see you when we get over there. Alright, I'm at the far side of it. The little reservoir's dry. Nothing over here. Some neighbors' cattle on the other side of the fence, right where they should be. So anyways, I'm gonna get down in the flat here and hit a trot. Two guys on that side above me, I'd just be in the bottom bumping. You know, they'll bump cattle down to me and I'll move them the rest of the way and bump them closer towards where we're going. So that's that. Okay, there's the reservoir. Yeah, one cowboy ahead of me, I know where he's at. He's bringing some more down to it. I don't know where the second cowboy is. Might be right in front of me, or he might have went higher again to get around another bunch. I just got a whiff of something dead. Just one though. Trying to see if we can find something right up here. So Pat's coming in with some cattle there. I think Armando's coming down the hill with some more. I still, for the life of me, can't figure out who it was we saw across the canyon, because there wasn't. I mean, it doesn't make sense to you guys because I shut the camera off. But from where I saw that cowboy to when I saw these two, there was no way possible to get from point A to point B. So I'm confused. Maybe Pat had another cowboy out here on the desert that knew we were going to be out here today and showed up to help, and Pat just forgot to tell me. That's a possibility. Like I was saying earlier, things get really weird in this pasture for no apparent reason sometimes, and that might be one of them. But anyways, I'm gonna just sit right here, let them cattle keep coming down, stay out of their way, and imagine we'll group up and make a plan. So we're here and we're gonna go. Nobody knows what I saw drop that cow off that saddle earlier, so that's just another weird thing that's happened out here, I guess. Anyways, excuse me, my drink. It ain't clear and it probably ain't cold, but it's water. I've seen the feral horses barrel off this mountain just as fast as they could from a long ways away, straight into this water, and go belly deep in it and drink their fill and not colic. Did that to a saddle horse, it colic him. Feral horses, one thing about them, they're dirty tough. That's how they make their living, I guess. Pat's doing the YMCA over there. He's a pretty good dancer. I'll see if I can get a close-up of it for you guys.
Only one bull so far.
Yeah.
I was going to look at my book before we get it. I'll pick up and see how many there's supposed to be in there, but there's probably like 13. 13 or 14, I think.
Yeah, so this was not anywhere near the number of cattle that we expected to have at this point in the day, but the ground that we're going to is, oh, I don't know, 80 or 120 or 160 acres of fenced off private ground, and that's where we're going to put these cattle. But Pat found a gate knocked down into that, so we're not sure how many cattle are in there. And there's usually a good number of cattle hanging out in this canyon between here and there, so we might be okay. Time will tell. We'll find out. Ramon's gonna head up that road and get those couple that were above the private ground that we're going to. Where we saw that cowboy that we can't explain was right up there. And that cow was walking down that road, and it wasn't Pat and it wasn't Armand, so I don't know what we saw. When I edit this footage, I'm gonna try and zoom way in on it, and that's way further than I expect to be able to see with the GoPro, but I know I saw a cowboy there. Things get weird in this pasture sometimes. I can't explain it. There's been other things that have happened in this pasture that I can't explain either. Like I saw Pat rope really good one day here. Can't explain that. Pat rope's pretty good all the time. So for those of you that aren't from this part of the world, this is called a guzzler. And it collects rainwater, goes down through the gutter system and into that tank right there, and birds and jackrabbits and things like that will drink that water. They're put in by the Department of Fish and Game. That's a very small one. There are bigger ones that are big enough they have actual troughs that like deer and antelope can drink out of. Most of them I've seen, if not all I've seen, have some form of fence around them to where horses and cattle cannot drink out of them. And they try to make it exclusively for wildlife. So, pretty cool project they do. You know, the hunters, as big of a pain in the butt as they can be about leaving gates open, and some of them chase cattle and stuff. That's the exception, not the rule. Most of them try and do good things for the land and the wildlife and all that. Right.
That's probably what these fences were up here, was just to prove up on the plane.
Yep. So you guys see all these old wood fences here. Pat and I were just talking about it. There was a homestead enact, or a few of them, and if somebody's more knowledgeable about this in the comments, make sure and share your knowledge. But what would happen is the bigger ranches would want this water, and it would need to be turned into private ground eventually. So that Homestead Act come out, and if somebody homesteaded the water and did certain things like plant trees and live on it for so long and this and that, different things, the ground would switch from government ground to private ground, and the ranches would basically sponsor a guy to homestead it, get the deeds to it, and then they would buy that deed from the guy, and in the meantime the rancher would make sure that he didn't starve to death, or, you know, he had what he needed to be able to do it. So in the desert, basically any groundwater you come across is almost guaranteed to be private ground. Kind of a neat piece of history. It would have been a cool time to live and do that. Man, you'd have had to been double tough and triple resourceful to make it happen though. I'm gonna wait here for these cattle to come off this side hill and join a group. So, they're coming. So we're picking some more up in this bottom here, which is good to see. So
They look pretty good.
yeah, they look real good.
You know, let's just call it.
Leave them here a while longer. Big old fat calf right there.
Yeah.
He's not supposed to be here, but he looks good, so. It's kind of crazy just how dry country can get, because that little spot right there, I've rode over that in the early parts of the year, and it's pretty deep mud. You know, a horse really has to slog his way through it pretty good. And then later in the year like this, the springs dry up a bit, and it turns hard. And groundwater, the rains, and then I got some cattle that come down behind me. I'm gonna get out of their way. But anyways, the winters will come and refill the groundwater, and the springs will all start running again. Do I need to go up that trail and get them? Come on, girls. Sage grouse. Okay, well, we got to go up that side hill and get those cattle up there. Have to use four-wheel drive on the Mustang here. My mom brought that last bunch. Come on, Bubba, you're all right. We just got to get a little bit higher, Luke, get around them. So that's all the country we rode across this morning. Go on, girls. Get down there. You had the right idea. Shh. Hey. Hey. I don't know if the camera's picking up all the chucker making noise, but they're noisy little birds today. Piece of cake. Pretty good stuff there, Luke. Come on. So our gate and our fence and all that's right up here. I'm gonna go get the gate open and count them in. So this gate is set in a really awkward spot to go into. It works pretty good coming out of, but it's just an awkward wrong spot to go into, so it can be quite the pain. Just stand up here and turn them back into it. So, out of respect for the cow owner, though, I won't show them filing through the gate because it's going to take a while, and well, numbers aren't something I like to discuss. Anyways, I will see you guys once they are all in the gate. Well, we did better than I thought we were going to, but we still got some unless they were in here already. So we're going to ride down through here and look at things and see what we see. Okay guys, the gate we came in was just on the, it's right down at the bottom of that canyon there. We were riding back and we saw this little jagged cows here outside the fence. So we're going to get them and put them in through the lower gate. We started the day riding up that canyon, rode all the way across that high country, clear down on the other side of what you can see here, and did pretty good. We got the majority of them. We get the feeling that we're going to be out here tomorrow riding for remnants, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the rest of the day is going to hold. So if there's something else interesting that happens, we'll see you there. If not, thanks for riding along. Always enjoy having you guys. Post any questions or comments down below. Make sure and check out roebucknevada.com. Get some ropes, some merch, tie strings, spur straps, real fancy, pretty white bronze Hondas. Add some weight to your rope, make it feel real good. Anyways, guys, appreciate it. Have a good one.